From the creators who brought you RuPaul's Drag Race and $1 Million Listing, this is World of Wonder's Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of the Wow Report, where we're counting down the top 10 things of the week that made us go wow. Tom, haven't seen you in ages. Welcome back.
Thank you. It's good to be back.
James, St. James, who needs no introduction.
I'm just loving seeing Tom.
Oh, love to see you.
Let's look at Tom for the next hour. We will, as we count down the top 10 things of the week. I'm Fenton Bailey, co-founder of World of Wonder, Tom Campbell, James St. James. Where do we start? Number 10. Let's go.
Number 10.
Okay, warning. I don't know what happened today when I woke up. I don't take psycho meds, but I feel like if I did, they're off today. I just feel a little off, just so you know.
You just woke up feeling off?
Little off, a little downer. I'm hoping this show will pick me back up. Nothing to worry about. I'm not
irritable,
in danger.
Maybe a little irritable.
A little irritable, maybe irritable brain syndrome, IBS. That's just a caveat in case this goes south. But number 10 is I went on Saturday night to a concert at the SoFi Stadium. Now, Fenton, you've probably already been at the SoFi Stadium.
I have.
James, have you yet to go to the SoFi Stadium?
No, I haven't, no.
It is a spectacular stadium. It might be the best one in the world right now because it's the newest. It blew me away. I went to see Luke Combs. Now, at first, when my friend Greg said, let's go see Luke Combs at the SoFi Stadium, I'm like, I do not want to see that judge from American Idol. He's like, it's not the judge from American Idol. Luke Combs did the cover of Tracy Chapman's You Got a Fast Car.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I love him. Yes.
You think about, I'm going to the SoFi Stadium, I'm going to a concert, I'm going with friends. What am I going to wear? And then out comes Luke Combs in like a dirty pair of old, ill-fitting, like Old Navy jeans. He's big. He's got a scruffy beard. And you're like, you don't have to worry about what you're going to wear anymore. And clearly I've taken that as my fashion thing.
What's wrong with being big and having a scruffy beard?
What if you went on stage? I've seen you on camera, Blake, and you tend to do other things to enhance.
I clean up.
You enhance the beauty. No, but he's is what he is. And he had that amazing moment on the Grammys where he and Tracy side by side sang Fast Car. And it kind of felt, I remember talking about it at the time, it felt like these two worlds came together. Well, on Saturday at the SoFi Stadium, there was one world present, and it was the world of country music. And I had never seen so many straight, hot, cowboy boot wearing boys. And my friend Greg said, in regards to the women who are walking there and driving there and in the stadium, that if you were selling pants, you go broke because they all had on short shorts and short little sundresses and cowboy boots. So that was the thing. And people were drunk and they were making out with each other. Anyway, that's the thing. We were in the Corona bar where we got tickets, but we were able to watch it on this balcony overlooking. It was very comfortable. It was very posh. Here's the one thing, and I think I'm the problem. Could not understand a word of the lyrics or when he spoke.
My friends went to see Taylor Swift at the same place, and they said the exact same thing. They couldn't tell what she was saying or singing until everyone else started singing it.
Thank God. And I don't know, I was listening to Luke's music before. He's kind of the new Garth Brooks, except Garth Brooks was a showman. Garth Brooks would would jump and leap and holler and scream. And Luke kind of does hand choreography. Like if Mariah does this, Luke does a lot of pointing with his left hand. So what's happening all around that area? I had no idea. I've been to the Forum, which is next door. Then there's the SoFi. Then they're building a Clippers stadium. There's also IMAX there. In what used to be sort of an urban desert in my mind, in my mapping of LA, is now one of the most like up and coming popular entertainment zones of the world.
And hardest to get to.
A little bit.
It sounds like you didn't like the show.
I couldn't understand a word of it. And I just, I watch a lot of QVC. They do two things. They're about the age of possibility. So they embrace 50 plus women. And it's all about not being shameful for being old. And then they have like this thing from Bose, which usually is like speakers and for your ear. It's sort of like a non-prescription hearing device. And they're like, and they can't make medical claims. So they always tug in your heart. It's like, I know when my dad started to lose his hearing, he just sat back, looked removed, and didn't seem as engaged. And I thought like, oh my God, I will not be the QVC hosts Deaf Dad at the Luke Combs concert.
But it sounds like the stadium has some sort of audio problems, right?
Well,
It sounds,
Blake has saved my life because I
Mhm.
couldn't imagine. I mean, he would talk. Some people could understand it, maybe if they're near speakers, but he would say things and be like, because he's kind of a baritone. You heard the bass. I mean,
Right.
his songs are fun. I listened to him on the Apple Music, and it was fun to go out. It was fun to get the VIP treatment, but I couldn't understand a word. But there's that huge fountain. What did you think of the facility when you went, Fenton?
oh, I thought it was amazing. I couldn't quite get over the size of it, the sheer just bigness of it.
Yeah.
But the weird thing is, I can't remember what I saw there. I can't.
Did you see Taylor?
No, it was not Taylor. I honestly don't remember. It'll come back to me. Maybe it will.
Right.
So at least you were there and remember what you were seeing.
What I heard in little tiny bits and pieces.
Well, and just a little caveat, I think Taylor's Eras tour was actually filmed at SoFi Stadium. So
Yes. And by the way, I've been to the ear doctor recently, and he said I was in good shape. So now between that and Blake telling me that he had his friends who had trouble hearing, I maybe I'm coming out of my funk. Maybe this was a step in getting out of my funk.
It's always good to see you, and it really always cheers me up seeing you. So I hope that had a reciprocal effect of some sort. So that's Luke Combs on tour through October the 20th in Kissimmee.
Kissimmee, Florida.
yeah, it's near Orlando.
Okay, Kissimmee. James, Kissimmee. Number 9, James.
Number 9.
House of the Dragons is back. It's been 2 years since we last visited this Game of Thrones prequel. It's 200 years before the events of Game of Thrones happened. I did not remember a goddamn thing that had happened on the season.
Steven said the same thing. He watched the first episode last night.
Did they do a recap?
Well, they do, but I went back and watched the last 4 episodes leading up to the thing. So someone on Twitter challenged me, and they said, "Tell us what you remember." And I said that there was an aging king with a rotted face who was walking very slowly towards a throne. There was
It sounds like the Trump campaign so far. But
Sir Kristen Cole is hot, but he's a jerk. I remember there's a mean boy on a big dragon. There was a little boy on a little dragon, and they're racing through the nighttime to get home, and the big dragon eats the little boy with the little dragon, and that's how it ended. Season 1.
Okay.
So
I'm captivated. Go on.
well, basically, what it is that King Viserys wanted his daughter to be the next in line of succession when he died. He said that publicly. He said that she should be queen. But as he was dying, he had a fever dream. He had a prophecy, and he was talking about the king that was promised or something like that. He was prophesizing Game of Thrones, but his daughter didn't realize that, and his daughter thought that he wanted her son to be on the throne. So you have these 2 warring factions of who should be on the throne, the person that he wanted, or now the other queen. It's very hard. It's very complicated.
I gotta ask, because I don't watch any of this. Do you enjoy it?
Yes.
Oh,
It is fabulous. You sink into it. I mean, Game of Thrones is one of the best shows that has ever been made on television, bar none. It just was. It was just fantastic.
Okay.
And this is just as good, and it's just as interesting, and we're learning about the Targaryens. It's fabulous.
so you that sounds like a thumbs up. I've never watched a single episode. I think I watched the last episode of Game of Thrones where there was sort of a dragon and some ice, and I just was like, what is this?
Fenton, I don't understand you. I never understand you. How do you watch the last episode of a show and then that's what you make your choice?
I know, it's terrible. And I did buy the Game of Thrones limited edition Oreos.
Well, but you should do episode 1 will change your life. And so we do this over and over again.
I know, and I have to say, I think there's an item coming up on this week's show that I'm going to get in trouble again because I haven't done my homework that I was supposed to have watched a series that I promised you I would watch. I know. I just want to get the disappointment out there, and hopefully, like,
I don't know what I can do. I don't know what more I can do. I can tell you how fabulous it is. I can tell you that it will speak to you in ways that will change your life, and yet you won't believe me. It just frustrates me to no end.
You're right, Tom. Help me.
You know, and you did, like I said, you did this with The Boys. When you started, you went to season 4. You went to season 2, episode 4, and that's where you started. You can't do
It's a free country, James. We are allowed to start streaming whenever we want. I would think in principle alone you would support.
Season 1, episode 1. You do the journey.
That's your choice. I believe, Fenton has a body and Fenton has a choice. And that's why I think he can stream wherever he wants. I'm just having a conversation.
All right. I'm living in shame, but I'm going to go on to number 8.
Number 8.
I think you like
I am.
I think you like living in shame.
Probably it gives me a thrill being in trouble with James. James just does. I keep on wanting on this show to talk about ghost scrapers, which are unoccupied skyscrapers. I love my Soviet bus stops, and I'm very excited about ghost scrapers.
You love an abandoned mall.
Like that one downtown LA?
Like that one downtown. But I'm not going to talk about ghost scrapers because something even more unbelievable in the same space, as it were, came up. The New Yorker has an article by Ian Parker, and it's called His Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. And it is about the house that Kanye West, bought on Malibu Road. A beautiful, and I got to get the name pronounced right, Tadao Ando, an esteemed, revered Japanese architect, I should say, who designs very few houses, is much sought after. You can buy a Birkin handbag. It is if you're going to have a house by Tadao Ando is the house to have. And they're very minimal, and they're built in concrete. And he's very specific. He talks about coexistence. You can't bring in your clutter and your hobbity type things. You have to live a minimal life in this minimal house with not just gray walls, but raw concrete, unpainted walls. And people love it. They think it's their master. It's personally not for me, but people love it. They're like minimalist and Zen and what have you. Anyway, so Kanye West bought for $57 million this 4,000 square foot house that's not that big on the Malibu Road there by the beach. And he didn't like the interior, which is almost like you're buying this masterpiece by this architect and you don't like the interior.
Was it too much or too little, I wonder?
It was too much of too little, I think. So the bathroom, for example, had some wooden cabinets and some marble, and he didn't like that. And he first got Bianca, his girlfriend, who I believe is actually an architect by training, to call up a man with a minivan. And this guy called Tony Saxon came round, and he was told to paint the marble and paint the cabinets in the bathroom to match the gray of the concrete. Well, that didn't work out. So then the next instruction came down to rip out the marble, rip out the cabinets. And from that point on, he spent, it seems, about 6 weeks living in the house on a mattress, just jackhammering it and destroying it under Kanye's specific directions. Ripped out all the bathrooms, ripped out all the floors. And then, I mean, it's sort of insane. He wanted him to cut the power off and separate the house from the grid. And the guy said, well, if I do that, I won't have any power for the tools to do these renovations. And then he removed the windows. And I mean, in the end, he's like, I can't live here. There's no power. There's no windows. I'm being attacked by seagulls.
2 decades ago, when I was in the height of my addiction, if I had met someone in this condition, I would ask them, how many days have you been up? It's craziness. It's mental illness.
It is, but it's an incredible story. And during this time, Ye also, the Donda album, which people say is some kind of masterpiece, but he previewed some of it in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. And he decided to live there. He lived in the stadium paying, reportedly, $1 million a day. And you're living in an empty stadium that holds, 70,000 people? And okay, if you want to do that, great. You'd probably have a big bed in the middle and enjoy the space. But no, he lived in apparently a tiny windowless room in a narrow bed.
Who's revealing all of this? What's the sources? Who's leaking?
I don't know. Ian Parker has written, it is a fabulously interesting article. Tony Saxon took a lot of videos while he was doing the demolition and sort of posted things on Instagram. And I think there's now some lawsuit. So I guess that's why the story has all come out. He was being paid $20K a week, and then Kanye West stopped paying him and went round one day and didn't like the way he smelled. So he took him to the Nobu Hotel and he ran him a bath. It's insane. He also wanted the stairs ripped out and replaced with ramps. Very long story short, this house is now a ruin in Malibu. It is like just a concrete shell, and was put on the market for $53 million, having been destroyed. Now the price has been reduced to $39 million.
That's price to sell. It's price to go.
I don't know why we keep giving oxygen to Ye. I don't like it.
It's hard because it feels like it's fueled by illness.
I think it is, but I also think there's a sort of he has been in his career sort of hailed for his minimalist aesthetic and his sort of, when he did the Gap and he did those clothes and he just dumped them all in bins. There is this sort of, some people admire his aesthetic approach and think it's very clever.
No, but his anti-Semitism rants and all that stuff, I don't like giving oxygen to this man.
Yeah, well, it's a story of architecture, I suppose, and like the weird way in which houses have become this sort of architectural obsession among the very rich, but then they end up doing weird things to them, I suppose. Anyway,
the stately dome decree. I don't know.
Let's take a break. Blake, you got a question?
What restaurant was almost called Big Tex? It also holds the record for the longest commercial, and they bought Pharrell's famous hat.
We'll have the answer right after the break here on the Wow Report.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Welcome back to the Wow Report. Spencer here with Blake, Tom, James.
And I asked, what restaurant was almost called Big Tex? It holds the record for the longest commercial ever at 13 hours. And they bought Pharrell's famous hat.
Based on hat and Tex, I don't know about the commercial. I want to say Arby's.
You're right. And sadly, they just closed their only restaurant in Hollywood on Sunset Boulevard with the big neon hat this week.
Show of hands, who liked eating at Arby's?
Well,
James, you loved eating at Arby's. We went there like every week.
I know, ostensibly, but it is just objectively speaking, it is horrible food, but it is comfort food because it reminds me of my brother who loved it. He loved a Jamocha shake, And so I go to Arby's in honor of him because he loves it.
We are counting down the top 10 things of the week that made us go wow, and we've reached number 7, Tom.
Number 7.
You know, I warned you about my mental state. I'm going to ramble again, which is because I haven't been here for a few weeks and so much good stuff happened. Tell me, did you guys, and I'm bringing up the one we don't want to talk about, but did you guys talk about The Lion King at the Hollywood Bowl?
I think we skipped over that one.
I'm not going to go deep, but just the audacity of the Kardashians to put Northwest, who seemed like someone who'd maybe seen the movie once. I don't blame her. I'm not shaming the child. I want her to live a long and prosperous life. I think she will. But the idea of, they talk about Nepo babies. Hoi boy, hoi boy, hoi boy. I have to ask this, and I'm afraid of the answer because I'm going to go off of my, it's not Linda Ronstadt. Don't worry, but it's one of my regulars. Have you guys caught up on Hacks season?
Oh, well, of course, yes.
Did you watch it all? Did you talk about it?
Yes. It was the best show on TV. It's amazing. It's fabulous. It's
Mind blowing. I was going to talk about the Tonys.
Yes.
I didn't really like the Tonys.
I didn't like the Tonys either. Well, there was nothing.
Why? What was wrong with them?
There was no pizzazz. There was nothing there. Next season, when we have Death Becomes Her, when we have Audra McDonald and Gypsy, there's a lot coming. Next year will be fabulous, but this was a sort of a bad year on Broadway, I think.
Because some years when there's weak years on Broadway, they do a lot to bring back the past, and there was kind of very little of that. The opening number, love her. It was boring. It was dull. This is her last year. She's a great star, a great entertainer, not the best host. 2.
Who?
Adriana DeBrose.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just telling the truth. The highlight was the candid shot of Billy Porter in the audience clapping, and then without knowing the camera's on him, he did a quick, do I stink? And that to me was a highlight. The other highlight was Brooke Shields, who had recently had toe surgery, was in is it chartreuse, that bright color green, yellow green, and she had on Crocs, because matching Crocs.
God bless her. I said on X the other day, after I broke my arm, that I will not wear high heels. I will not wear heels. I am in flats forevermore. And I don't know her medical history. I don't know if she has foot problems, but God bless her. She's she's getting up there.
We're at the age of possibility, 50 plus, as they say on QVC.
Exactly. Wear Crocs. Go ahead.
I did think for a cynical moment, because they really showed her dress was really long, and I think it was extra long. But those little, when you see a Croc toe poke out, you're looking at a Croc. And I thought for a cynical moment, I thought, oh, she must have got like $1 million from Crocs. But no, she just had some toe surgery.
But there are those Kenny Sharp Crocs that I sent you, Fenton. Did you see them?
No.
Oh, the Kenny Sharp Crocs are amazing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead.
The other high point of the Tonys for me was Hillary Clinton in her caftan.
Yes. People were responding like, love her, don't like the caftan. Shut up. She looked great.
Oh, please. Caftan Queen. We love the Caftan Queen.
Whatever she wants. Again, this is just me being a grump. But I went to see Merrily We Roll Along.
Oh, and you hated it.
They said 90 minutes to intermission. After the first couple of songs, I had an IBS moment, a true one. And so I was going to go and rush to the bathroom, and I was in the second row. And then I thought, am I coming back? And then I grabbed my goat and I was like, no, I'm not coming back. Because it's kind of the Sondheim that I don't like, the 70s, you're television, I'm art kind of thing. But it felt very inside this year. The other cool thing was like New York, what streets are made of, the Alicia Keys, Jay-Z moment, which should have started the awards. That's, again, I warned everyone, I'm off today. This is what you're getting.
No, but I don't think it's you. I don't think it's you being cranky. I really think the show really was flat. It was just, yeah.
Same people making it. Maybe they need to mix it up and have the producers of RuPaul's Drag Race do some musicals.
There you go.
All right.
And you know what, Tom? I also love it when you're a little grumpy too. I like a little grumpiness. You know, can't be always sunshine, you know?
Ain't no sunshine when she's gone.
James, we're going to go on to number 6.
Number 6.
The boys are back after 2 years. And once again, I had no idea what had happened. So I had to go back and rewatch the last 3 episodes of the season before. The show is so good at, portraying these superheroes. It is, everyone thinks they're so fabulous, but they're sociopaths, they're psychopaths, they're narcissists, they're violent murderers. Homelander is the worst. He is basically Donald Trump. He is a Nazi. He is a fascist. He is he kills indiscriminately. Starlighter, who is the good girl, she stopped being a superhero. She's gone back to her real name. She's will not be a part of it anymore. There is Frenchie, who is one of the, oh God, he's so beautiful. He's so wonderful. He's bisexual this season, and that's sort of interesting. He has a big sex scene, and that's sort of fabulous. But Fenton, the opening scene of the first episode of season 1 will hook you in immediately. It tells you everything you need to know about the show. The first 10 minutes, just give it 10 minutes. And if you are not hooked immediately, then I don't know what is wrong with you. But I honestly think that it is one of the greatest shows about the Trumpian era told through superhero lens.
Wow. I've read reviews that saying this season is specifically the most political parable has ever been.
Yeah.
And this season is the last season, right?
Yes.
I feel compelled to point out that with all of your guilt and shame, James doesn't even try to get me to watch it. He knows that I do not have the capacity to take it in.
No.
He trusts you.
The thing is, James always describes things so beautifully and so well that the rest is a disappointment. It's like
no, wait, I'm too good in my descriptions.
yes,
Your fault, James. You've made Fenton who he is today.
It is all wow.
The world through your eyes is a much more glamorous, glorious place. And then I have to go out and face reality, and it's not good.
But Fenton, you do these trips where you are 12 hours in a plane in a nice little room. You could do it. You could if you would just do it.
I'm just going to do it.
Fenton's making international deals midair. He doesn't have time to watch things. He's making deals. He's talking to the Russians.
Oh, please. Oh, please. He is on his Instagram.
He's looking at wallpaper.
All right. Okay. Enough about me. Boys, final season streaming on Amazon Prime. Number 5. I guess this week I have a thing about billionaires. Ron Perelman bought Revlon in 1985. It was one of the big takeovers like Nabisco and all that. And I think he bought it for, almost $2 billion in 1985. And, as happens, I guess, he becomes this giant art collector. Anyway, so he had this house in the Hamptons, and he had an Andy Warhol soup can, and Ed Ruscha, so a couple of Cy Twomleys in his dining room. And there was a fire. Now, the weird thing is he put in an insurance claim claiming, even though the pictures weren't noticeably damaged, he put in a claim, insurance claim, saying that the pictures have been robbed of their oomph. So the insurance company is like, hang on a minute, let's look at this. And all the paintings were in protective sort of, atmospherically sealed cases against things like fire and floods. And there was no detectable damage. And the insurance company is like, WTF? He brings in an expert who says merely being in the presence of a fire and water used to put out the fire would necessarily have shortened the lifetime trajectory of the works because it accelerates the formation of compounds that otherwise occur naturally, shortening the painting's lifespan by an as yet imperceptible and incalculable degree. Well, okay, here's the thing. It's not a little insurance claim. It's an insurance claim for $450 million. And a long story short, this case is headed to trial. There's going to be a trial.
Oh, what a waste of money and resources.
There's a couple more wrinkles in this story. Is that he was actually trying to sell the paintings before the fire. Mm-hmm. And actually, I think he sold a couple of them after the fire. And he didn't put in the insurance claim until 2 years later. So it all looks a bit suspicious. Oh, and there's one other thing about this. For example, the Warhol soup can had a market value of 12.5 million, but it was insured for 100 million, of course. So I don't know. I think this is going to be a really interesting trial. And I suppose I should end as a bookend. He bought Revlon in 1985 for almost $2 billion. And in 2023, it went bankrupt.
Oh my God, I didn't know that. James, was he, I know his name because wasn't he married to Claudia Cohen or someone who was a reporter on Regis and Cassidy?
That's
yes.
right.
Oh my God, I had forgotten about that. Thank you.
It was the era of the Raiders and their trophy wives, like Steinberg, Gudrun Steinberg, right?
Yes.
Oh, Gudrun Steinberg. Oh,
yeah, the Roaring '80s. That's my
Ron Perlman.
Not
Wrong.
the Beauty and the Beast guy.
No, because one of them was with Ellen Barkin.
He might have been with her too.
Okay.
All right, let's take a break. Blake, if you got a question.
What legendary legend introduced the Brat Pack to the Rat Pack?
All right, we'll have the answer right after the break here on the Wow Report on Radio Andy.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Welcome back to the Wow Report. Fenton here with Tom and James and Blake.
And I had a question. What legendary legend introduced the Brat Pack to the Rat Pack?
Well, it's funny because I just saw this on The View the other day. The story is like, was it Rob Lowe or something? And they were partying and they saw Liza Minnelli at the next door, at the next table. And Liza said, let's go to Sammy's. And they thought that they were going to Sammy's, the nightclub. And she actually took them to Sammy Davis Jr.'s house. And Sammy Davis Jr. opens the door and he's like, hey, cats, hey.
That's correct. Yeah.
Why do I feel like there was cocaine in part of that story? Why do I feel that?
Well, it kind of brings me to number 4.
Number 4.
Did you guys see the Bratz documentary that Andrew McCarthy did about the Brat Pack?
I haven't watched it yet, no.
Well, I don't want to burst your bubble, but it's kind of self-absorbed. I mean, Andrew McCarthy, who will forever be Clay from Less Than Zero to me, he seems to be the only one that like cares about this article that came out in the 85. Did you guys ever read the article?
I do remember it, yes.
Of course, yes.
I have to say, when I first moved to LA, it was summer 84, summer 85, and the Hard Rock Cafe at the Beverly Center was new. The Hard Rock Cafe was new. Corona beers were new with lime at the top of them, and the Brat Pack would hang out at the mall. That's how celebrity has changed. Anyway.
Yeah, well, they all said it was a big thing that they never hung out together, and it never really was a thing, and it ruined his career and blah, blah, blah. And I always thought, why would it ruin your career? And It seemed a little bratty to me. Also, I went to Charli XCX, the Brat 2024 tour. It's Brat Summer Girls.
Where was she playing?
She was at the Shrine Auditorium, which I'd never been to. Have you guys been there? Yeah.
For award shows.
Yeah, it wasn't that big. I actually stood at the very back. Well, first I was in the middle, and I realized it was all like kids from USC because we're all like this, you know?
Yeah.
And I heard two guys fall in love talking over dick pics behind me.
So wait, I think we need to give a shout out to Charli XCX in this Brat thing because she had a movie series in which she showed Party Monster.
She curated her 5 favorite movies or
Brat movies. Brats, yeah.
Totally.
And James, she showed up to the screening.
We showed up to the screening.
Well, I mean, had we known?
Yeah. I mean, she did a pop-up signing this week too on Monday at Stereo Vinyl or something in that new little section of Sycamore, Lower Sunset, where it's all like hip. Anyway,
James, go into the basement at World of Wonder, sign something, and send it to her, for goodness sake.
Yeah, we should, James. Maybe we can get her on Night Fever.
There you go. That's a good idea.
There you go.
Well, the album Brat was released in time with Pride. And when you were talking about Brooke Shields' chartreuse gown earlier, I was thinking, because the album is just a big chartreuse box that says Brat in lower font on it. So maybe she's a Charli XCX fan, Tom?
I would like to think she is. I have a question for you. It's business related. Off this new album, is there a Lip Sync for Your Life song?
Oh, I'm sure there is. Yes.
Will you do the research for me and text me, please?
I will send you some. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
She's also going on tour with your favorite Troye Sivan this fall. She'll be at the Forum for 2 nights. And
I can hear at the Forum. I might go. I can understand words at the Forum.
There were some looks turned at this show like you couldn't believe. I'm forever thankful to Theron because I've been an angel since the first album in 2012 because she's got Charlie's Angels, you know?
Yeah.
So I've been a fan since like the first album. And Theron.
So that's important. I didn't know that she was important to you.
Theron got me when she was on Drag Race All Stars. It was my birthday, and he had her tell me happy birthday and got me a signed card. So I'm so thankful to him, and that's it.
Love it.
It's a Brat summer.
It is. Oh, and I was also going to talk about how Elliot's 4th grade class is obsessed with brats.
Yes, that's how I knew about the Party Monster thing. Not that they know about Party Monster, but they were all talking about Brat, and Charli XCX, 9-year-olds, James. And then Billy's like, why is Elliot talking about Brat? Does a little Googling. He says, did you know Party Monster was shown at the Roxy in New York? And Charli XCX went. And I was like, oh my God.
James, you've got to hold yourself together. There's a new generation that needs you.
That's right. New generation of fans. Number 3, James.
Number 3.
Princess Catherine is back. I don't know if you saw the picture. She was on the balcony of Buckingham Palace looking as if she was nothing has ever happened. She looks fabulous. She doesn't look gaunt. She doesn't look skinny. She doesn't look sickly. She doesn't look jaundiced.
And it was her, James, because I know you've been behind a few conspiracy theories.
I have fed into many conspiracy theories about her. I'm glad she's alive. I'm glad she's not in a coma. I'm glad she's not being AI'd or
James, you are my General Hospital because you have these long arc stories that unfold week after week and show after show. 1 week you're in love, and then 2 weeks later you're breaking up with like you're in your love period with the princess now. It's all involved. It's a story. It's long form.
What in the actual fuck though was the reason for all of that bad optics. If she looks fine, if she's able to stand on the balcony and wave, why for the last 7 months has there been this, as Fenton would say, controversy?
But she's been poorly and now she's better. Simple explanation.
No.
Oh no! And that's just what I thought you guys were making up. Oh no!
Something nefarious happened, but now she's back, and I don't think we will ever know. I don't think we will ever find out what really happened during those 7 months.
Maybe in several years, in the next installment of The Crown, we'll find out.
But it was bizarre because it was just so. Here she is. Yeah, here's Mrs. Gay.
People seem very glad of it, though. So I guess it's welcome back, Kate Middleton, right? Yes, welcome back.
It was nice to see her with her kids. It was just, it was sweet optics for a change.
And I loved what you were just doing, Tom, for those who are watching YouTube, with the hat.
Yes, I love, she wears just like this crazy satellite dish hat. It's very, very becoming. I want to work
satellite dish hat, yeah.
I want to work it into my repertoire somehow. I don't know.
All right, moving on. Number 2.
Number 2.
James, I'm surprised you've missed this, but there is an apocalypse coming to New York.
Again?
Yes, in the form of 4-inch long-legged spiders that can fly through the air. These are Joro spiders. I believe they have yellow and gray, very vivid yellow and gray bodies, long 4-inch long legs. They originally come from Asia. They've been making their way across the United States, and they can, unlike most spiders, fly. You've had the invasion of the cicadas, and now these are venomous spiders. And the way they fly, they actually call it ballooning. They fly they release silk threads into the air, and these carry them on the wind. And the other thing about these spiders is that apparently, according to some sort of, what do they call a biologist, I guess, yes, or anthropologist, like a lot of spiders don't like the city. They don't like street lamps and telephone poles, but these Joro spiders love them. And they can be found in places where regular spiders wouldn't be caught dead.
And they're venomous?
They are venomous. They are venomous. What the headlines leave out until you actually read the body of the article is that they're venomous only to butterflies, wasps, and cockroaches, and that humans are not in danger. I thought this would really get a reaction from James, but it's just like
no. I'm terrified. I'm just absolutely it's terrifying. I don't know what to say.
Okay. James' apartment is definitely a place where most spiders would not deign to go. So.
Dare to tread, exactly. Well, okay. Well, let's take one more break, and when we come back, we'll reveal the number 1 thing this week that made us go wow, and reveal our special surprise guest.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Welcome back to the Wow Report. It's Fenton here with Tom and James, and we've been counting down the top 10 things that make us go wow. And we've reached number 1.
Number 1.
Very excited to reveal our special guest this week, Simon Doonan, author of Drag: The Complete History.
Hi, thanks for having me, ladies.
Simon, very excited because your book is out in a new version, and you and I are having a little kiki at Barnes & Noble Union Square on Monday.
Yes, and I am eternally grateful for you, for writing the forward by Fenton Bailey.
Always been forward, I find.
Well, wait a minute. I think we need to explain. This is a book that you had that's already been out, that you have revised, and tell us about what's different.
It came out in 2019, and I've done a whole bunch of books, and of all of them, this one sells. It actually, actually sell. And so the publisher, Lawrence King, which is owned by Hachette, they said, this one has legs, darling. Let's do a fancy reprint, a mini, and you get some incredible drag queen to write a new forward, just to give it a little vaginal rejuvenation. So, of course, Fenton was my first call.
That was your first mistake, because you had a bestseller until now. It's a fabulous book. It is a richly illustrated history of drag. And I think that that's something that is, I mean, you point out that drag has existed for a long time, and you tell the complete story. And what that context is so crucial.
Yeah, well, Lawrence King, the publisher, I did this book for them on soccer players, David Beckham and all that lot. And they said, do you want to do a book on the history of drag? And I said, sure. And they said, well, the thing is, we keep getting all these calls from booksellers saying there are no books on the history of drag, a broad history of drag. And I thought, that can't be true. But I looked and there weren't any. So I think that's why it sells, because there is actually no book that takes you all from crayons to perfume, from Gladys Bentley to Shakespeare and back to ancient Egypt and blah, blah, blah. There isn't a book. So I think that's why it sells. So it was fun to do and research and pretend to be like this important lesbian academic who is like wading through the history of drag.
Simon, in researching the book, is there any fun fact or anything that you uncovered that just totally surprised you?
Well, one of the things that really blew my wig right off into the stratosphere was in Edwardian Victorian England, the drag kings were megastars. They were like Vesta Tilly and all that lot. They were hugely successful performers who went back and forward across the Atlantic on the big ships and stuff, and toured and were paid a fortune and rode around in a limo, and they were just incredibly successful, and people worshipped them. And I thought, why is that? Why was butch drag so big at that time when the patriarchy was very dominant? That was Victorian England, and all the men were just very overbearing and blah blah blah. And I think that's why people found it. Drag is very therapeutic, and that was very therapeutic. Victorians love to see a woman pretending to be a very sort of patriarchal man, curling his moustache and twirling down, Burlington Bertie, blah, 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 blah. So I think it made me think a lot about the therapeutic function of drag and how it serves a real purpose. I think multiple purposes. If we had Sigmund Freud on the line, he would go on for hours. I think all our ambivalence about women, or our obsessions with them, is sort of finds a therapeutic canvas in drag, I think.
Has drag always been controversial, though? Like in the recent sort of context of the anti-drag legislators and people trying to ban drag shows near schools and what have you. Has drag always been a lightning rod for controversy and opposition through history?
Well, when you and I were little children, Fenton, remember in England back then, we were literally drowning in drag. Every time you turned on the TV or went to a panto, or Monty Python, or it was drag. And I think, it was very much the comedy drag. Oh, it's very funny to see some guy with two balloons up his dress pretending to be being very bawdy. And so at that point, drag wasn't particularly a lightning rod. It was just this comedic, playful thing. And then I think when sexual liberation, women's lib, gay lib came along, it started to make people anxious, and it became much more complex. But my recollection of it as a child is it was just a comedic trope.
Well, now is much of this based on British drag or American drag, or did you do the history of drag all over the world throughout the history of time?
I went history of time. Everything's in there. And, you know, I'm basically American myself at this point. I've been here most of my life. So, you know, all the tentative efforts in America to embrace drag, Christy Jorgensen, well, I guess she's more of a trans woman, but like, yeah, no, it's very American. It's very ambidextrous.
Simon, you were I don't know the exact title, but you're the creative director at Barney's. Is that your title? What was your title at Barney's?
I was there so long. I'm Methuselah. You know, I was there since 1985. I was there for 35 years. So during that time, I had lots of different titles. I was display director, then creative director. Then at one point, I was executive vice president of creative services. So I had huge shoulder pads and lots of meetings. So I had many titles. And then by the time at the end, I was creative ambassador at large, which I think was a veiled lack of height. You know, like.
Thing. So Barney's is gone. Can't believe it. We live in a world without Barney's. And you were had such an imprint on the visual language of that store. Where do we get it now? Is it Instagram, or where do you express yourself, or where's that expression happening today, do you think?
I think Instagram, you know, if you open up Instagram, I noticed it actually in the 90s. I thought people aren't really looking at windows the way they used to when cell phones came along, and people are walking down the street looking at their phone. And within seconds, you can get a cavalcade of outrageous, audacious imagery on your phone that the average window is sort of not going to really hit the spot the same way. So window display it used to be a primary source of focus for people. I grew up in a small town, the windows in the local store, everyone went to look at them. But then now I think, Instagram or TikTok or any of that stuff, or streaming services, and people are bombarded with incredible images that make the average window look a bit pedestrian.
Well, there's nothing pedestrian about your tie shirt combination today. For those who are listening, it's stars and stripes and and a tiger.
Well, this is vintage Alessandro Michele, and it has a little tiger on it. And then this is vintage Saint Laurent. So I thought, I've got to dress up for the ladies, you know. Hello. And James has put on
you look amazing.
I love your shirt. Gorgeous.
Yes, James, what are you wearing?
Oh, I'm in my pajamas. I'm just
good for you.
You know,
that's a famous print. It's Scalamandre or something, isn't it?
Yeah, the zebra print. But just you woke me up at an ungodly hour.
James is being very modest. James, I always thought that you just spent your day in bed firing off masterpieces. That's what we ought to be doing, really.
Well, pajamas are very now, aren't they? I see Grace Coddington, all these fashion icons. Instead of putting on a ball gown, they throw on pajamas. I think it's Coco Chanel, you know. I love it. I think if you were sitting for hours at some award show, wouldn't you rather have your jammies on than some girdle mangling ball gown?
Amen.
I definitely will be at Barnes & Noble in Union Square in my pajamas, because I've been like a little stumped about what to wear. I'm so excited to talk to you about the book at Barnes & Noble Union Square. I think it's on 6:00, right, New York time on Monday. So
yes, it's going to be major.
It sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun.
Mm-mm. Simon, thank you so much for asking me to write a preface for your book. I'm so sorry. I hope I haven't effed it up, but it's a real honor, and I'm really excited to be there. And you'll be there signing books, kikiing with your fans. The name of the book is Drag, The Complete History.
And we're going to be talking about your book too, darling. Screen Age. Hello, iconic.
Screenage, sweetie. Screenage.
Did Fenton write a book? I wasn't aware. You keep that as such a secret, Fenton.
You know, I'm modest, shy, retiring, that kind of thing. No, we're going to be there for Simon. It's going to be a lot of fun. And thank you for joining us, Simon. And what is your next book? I have to know, what are you writing now?
Well, it comes out in September because I'm like basically Barbara Cartland. I just keep firing them out of my pussy one after another. The next one is on the history of camp, and it's called The Camp 100.
Yay!
Wow.
Oh my God. Perfect title. Because you can never have too many books about camp. And you have a definition of camp in your book about Lou Reed that is so perfect.
Well, yeah, it's very hard to define, but I would say that to be a camp person, to be a camp person, you have to do everything as if you're doing it.
Right.
So when you're at home, you're home as if at home. You're in your pajamas with the fabulous zebra print. You're lounging. When you dive into a swimming pool, you dive in as if diving into a swimming pool, like Esther Williams. So when you enter a room, you enter a room as if entering a room. So that to me defines a camp person, you know.
I feel like I have camp emotions because I have emotions as if I'm having emotions to protect me from real emotions. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Exactly. And I'm now going to wrap up the show as if we're doing a radio show. As if.
I'm signing off.
Simon.
As if signing off.
Yeah, I'm doing it as if signing off. Thank you so much, Simon. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, James. Thank you all for listening. Same time, same place next week. Until then, go out and do something that makes the world go.
Wow.
Wow.